And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Great Lakes Truck Series racing action here from the Rockingham Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. We are here for the penultimate race of the Great Lakes Truck Series Chase for the Championship. The battle for the championship continues on between Hunter Madalinas and Christian Peterson. My name is Jonathan Oates, and joining me alongside in the broadcast booth is Ross Brockman. Ross, what are you expecting out of today's race?
I'm excited. It's with 2 races to go. It's last chance for a couple people maybe to get a win here. Rockingham is a fun, short kind of style track, but you can be aggressive, lots of different lanes. And I think we've had some good races here the last couple times that the Great Lakes Truck Series has raced here. So I'm looking forward to see the action. The Rockingham Speedway is always fun.
Yeah, Rockingham is always a bit of a fan favorite among the different racetracks that we can race at here on iRacing, so should be a fun race tonight. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup, starting with your pole sitter, Zach Henry, who nearly won last week. He'll start alongside Terrell Baker.
In row 2, we have the 53 of Jared Duda and the 56 of Matthew Weeks.
Row 3, Jared Darling starts at the inside of Robin Durr with a great qualifying effort up in P6.
Starting 7th, the 24 of Tony Manji. Alongside him is the 16 of Jim Duda.
Row number 5, Jackson Sims will start to the inside of number 63, Eric Kepf.
Starting 11th, the number 40 truck of Nicholas Caressel, and then the 92 of Michael Senzi will start 12th.
Row 7, Elliot Henderson will start to the inside of your championship leader, Hunter Madalinas, who looks to escape today with a healthy points cushion going into next week's finale.
Behind him is the 49 of Shane Neiswanger, and the guy that's chasing him in the points, the 71 of Christian Peterson, starts 16th.
Row number 9, Gavin Fitzgerald will start to the inside of Matt Durr in the 44 truck.
Starting 19th, the 93 of Evan Snyder, and the 13 truck of Lewis Woodall will start next to him.
Row 11, Rod Fasna to the inside of Aiden DuPont.
23rd, we have the 23 of Spencer Owens, and the 51 of Trent Curtis.
James Shiflett and Blair Neabone will round out your 27 truck field as we get ready to go racing here at the Rockingham Speedway. The chase for the championship is, dare I say, about wrapped up. Hunter Madalinas enters this race with a 21-point advantage over Christian Peterson, but as we've seen in this series, crazier things have happened. Pace truck gonna head onto pit road now, leaving the field in the hands of Zachary Henry, who brings us into the restart zone, and we are green at Rockingham. Throughout the field, they're 2 by 2. One truck gets a little squirrely out of turn number 4. The 6 of Jackson Sims got a little bit low there, but he's able to keep it going. 3 wide, just about for third place as Jim Duda looks up the inside of Robin Durr in the 98 truck, but they'll get it sorted. Couple of and Trent Curtis gets sideways and all the way in the back. Aiden DuPont has gone around on the exit of turn 2. First caution of the day is out.
And, you already see smoke coming out of the 00. That's never a good sign. Probably a night ender, depending on what happened here. But yeah, it was a kind of an interesting start. We saw the 8 truck of Tyrell Baker kind of take control from the outside lane, and I think there was a couple drivers that maybe on the outside lane couldn't really get going. We'll see what happened to Aiden here. Loose entering, it looks like.
Yeah, he just got loose on the way into the corner and just never saved it. That truck was not gripped up at all and collected a little bit of extracurricular damage from the 64 of Blair Neabone. But a very bizarre incident to put us under our first caution, the 00 just looping it into turn 1.
Yeah, it looked like Snyder had kind of gave him as much room as possible, trying to help him save it, but it just finally, kind of ran out of time for Aiden to catch it, and then unfortunately kind of no fault, I think, to Snyder. I think he was trying to all he could to give Aiden some room there, but wasn't able to stay off of him after he saved it multiple times, tried to save it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Evan Snyder did all he could to stay off the 00, but I think DuPont was kind of just checking up. Fazenal getting into the back of the 93 definitely didn't help, and the Neobone kind of plows in there at the end, but probably know where he could go. So that'll be our first caution of the night, and I do believe that it'll send the 00 truck out of this race. One retirement in, and we are only on lap 4. By the way, Ross, tonight's race is kind of long, 170 laps here at the Rockingham Speedway. Only 5 additional sets of tires at a track that is known to really chew up the rubber on these race cars. How do you think attrition is going to play a factor in tonight's race?
Well, I think that this series, when you get to a track like this, there are moments where we can get some green flag runs going, and I think then it's more so just making sure you can stay on the lead lap. So I think with 5 sets of tires, there's a little bit of strategy depending on when cautions fall. If you're somebody, we have our championship contenders are kind of mid-pack. If at some point they want to grab tires a little earlier than somebody else, depending on when yellows fall, they can. But yeah, you got to survive first, and I think that's the key here. But I think it don't take long, even though it doesn't really feel like a short track. I mean, it kind of is, and it don't take long before you have to deal with lap traffic. So just trying to stay on the lead lap, I think, is the biggest thing, and trying to save sets of tires for later in the race.
I think saving tires in general is going to be important. I mean, if this race kind of runs green, it's going to be crucial to preserve the tires on these cars. I mean, Rockingham, it just has such an abrasive surface, and the turns are pretty sharp. I mean, compared to your average oval, these turns are very slow, very low speed. So keeping the tires on the car definitely going to be something important to watch out for. As we get ready to go back green, Terrell Baker had a great initial reaction, so he is in control of this race alongside Zach Henry. Baker takes off. Henry spins the tires a little bit. We're back underway at the Rock.
Yeah, that top lane was so well for the 8. Ooh, the one's got loose and is down on the apron. Oh, that's going to be tight.
Oh, Jared Darling! Sideways out in the exit of turn 2. He got loose into the corner and had to gather it up on the apron. I'm really not sure what happened there. Another bizarre incident in turn 1 and 2. We stay going, though. These trucks definitely not planted on the racetrack as these guys would like, as Christian Peterson is already on the move. He's trying to put a move on Jim Duda to get up to 7th.
Yeah,
Peterson started in the... dirt into the wall there. A little bit of smoke out of turn number 2. But keep in mind, Peterson started around the 16th spot. He's already up to 8th.
Yeah, both the 7 of Madalinas and the 71 of Peterson are championship contenders. They both kind of poor qualifying laps compared to what they usually do, but both are on the move. Madalinas up to 5th, Peterson up to 8th.
I mean, as we've seen out of Hunter Madalinas, I mean, last week especially, a bad qualifying position is not what it takes to bring down that number 7 truck. He is borderline unstoppable. Another thing that I'm starting to see here, Ross, is take a look at the way the lanes are being used in the corners. Watch Henry here in 1 and 2. Sometimes people think about Rockingham as kind of a bottom feeder racetrack, but take a look at Zach Henry all the way up by the outside wall, and look at the momentum that gives him on exit. Well, maybe not. He got a little loose there.
It's off of turn 2. It's very narrow. It's such a narrow, that back straightaway feels like it's 3 feet wide. It's crazy when you come off of turn 2. So running that top lane is great, but it just you can get into some tight spots with the driver to your inside.
Yeah, definitely. The exit of turn 2, probably the most precarious part on this track, especially if you're going side by side. That doesn't seem to be a challenge, though, for most of the field, as everybody is single filed out here on lap 10. Up in front, you see Jared Duda ripping the outside wall, trying to run down the 8 of Terrell Baker, as Madalinas looks to put a move on Zach Henry for 4th.
And I think these drivers that are jumping to the top are probably either, like in that situation there, we saw Henry basically kind of almost let Madalinas go, who's running the bottom. I think that most of the time you see is Henry jumps back down to the bottom. I think that's where you're going to want to be early in the run, but yeah, you can run that outside lane, let somebody go, or even try to pass somebody by doing that. It's a lot of options here, which is nice.
Well, what's interesting about Rockingham is that I'm not really sure if it's the way the turns are shaped or how tight they are or how banked they are, but the top lane doesn't seem to be as abrasive on tires as it is as other tracks. We see a lead change there, by the way. Jared Duda gets around the 8 of Terrell Baker. But the top line, in some ways, I feel like it saves tires a little bit better, and I think part of that is because the corners here are so tight and so banked that you can really slide the car a lot less and keep your momentum up without using the tires as much on the high line. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the course of the run. These guys running the high line early might actually have an advantage as the run goes on. Tony Manchi, by the way, grabbing second there from Terrell Baker.
Yeah, and you can even see some of them, some of these drivers will enter right down at the bottom at the start of the corner. Here you see Madalinas maybe up a lane and then kind of drive it down. I think that's one other thing that's really great about these corners is because they're so much tighter, you can kind of almost do two different lanes, like maybe run towards the middle a little bit, entering the corner, and then get to the bottom on the exit, or drive to the bottom on the start of the corner and then exit a little higher just to keep the momentum up. Yeah, just anything to kind of maybe save your tire from that really tight corner you're talking about.
I mean, Rockingham is really just a driver's racetrack. I mean, you got to know your way around the truck. You got to know your way around the track. You got to have a lot in your toolkit, too. I mean, you got to understand how to make this car work in conditions that aren't necessarily favorable. We go to a lot of tracks like you think about Kansas, you think about maybe Atlanta to an extent that are pretty standard racetracks. Some of them have more grips than others, but Rockingham is really unlike anything else. It's got the low grip of Atlanta, the weird shape of almost like a Bristol and a Texas combined. I mean, there's a lot going on at this track. And you really got to know how to get creative in that race car in order to be successful here. And I think that's why we see, some guys like Madalinas, Peterson just struggling a little bit more because it's a little harder to use the skills that you learn at other tracks at a track like Rockingham.
Yeah, we see Peterson here to the inside of the 16 of Jim Duda. I feel like now Weeks is going to get to the inside of Peterson. I feel like he took advantage of these restarts and gained some spots to get up into the top 10 from starting outside of the top 10, but now just kind of riding here. And I think that's something that Christian has done a really good job this year of being able to kind of save his stuff for later in the run. So we'll see if he can move up into the top 5 once this run gets going here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Peterson, he's been probably one of the best tire savers in the field most weeks. The difference, I think, between him and Madalinas is that Madalinas is able to capitalize on that short run speed a little bit more without losing too much on the long run. So we usually see Peterson run him in a little bit at the end of the runs, but Madalinas tends to be able to pretty much be far enough out that it doesn't matter. So that's kind of the difference we've seen so far, but obviously at Rockingham, I mean, there could be a big fall off here. We don't really know what the tires are going to do because we're still so early on in the race. More drivers, by the way, are kind of moving up to that high line as we go on. I think more guys are starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable on the bottom.
Yeah, and that'll happen as you start to burn up these tires. I think it's great to see both Jared Duda and Jim Duda running up in the top 6 tonight. I think it looks like the 71. That's a teammate in this, or maybe not a teammate in the 16, but racing the 16 here, trying to get to the inside. I think gonna probably drive into one here and make the pass.
Madalena sets his mark on Terrell Baker, and he's able to get that pass done for third into turn 1. So as Peterson gets his way around Jim Duda, Hunter Madalinas has entered the podium. Still 3 spots separating those drivers. And Ross, we were talking about this before the race. Hunter Madalinas needs to lead this race with a 43-point advantage to absolutely clinch the championship. We came into this race with that advantage at 21 points. So right now it's extending just a little bit, but we're not yet in the range of locking it up.
Yeah, and I think with Christian Peterson being his closest competitor for this championship, if Christian's able to run as he typically does tonight, and here he's sitting in 6th, I think if he finishes about there, then Madalinas will have to at least at least do something next week, whether it's just start the race or even just run top 20. I think that'll at least put some task for Madalinas next week if need be. But you never know. Like you said, something crazy happens to the 7 truck tonight, and Peterson's able to get a good finish. We could have something interesting happen next week. You never say never in this business, but it's been tough to see that 7 truck is just so fast, and now back up into the top 3 tonight here. But I was going to say the 53 of Jared Duda. We saw him earlier this year win at Pocono, run up in the top 3 multiple races towards the start of the season, and as we got closer to the playoffs, it kind of just went away a little bit. And I think that he's obviously a guy that can win and shown that he was able to win this year. I think it probably a little too late for him as far as being able to get up here and battle for a win. But it's nice to see him out front and got a nice little lead going here now.
Yeah, I feel like for a while this season it was Jared Duda and Christian Peterson that were kind of the class of the field every week. I remember their 1-2 finish at Pocono, and it seemed like every week they were pretty consistent threats. But as of recently, some of that pace has kind of just gone away. And Lewis Woodall gets the wall there in turn 1 and 2. So you'll have Spencer Owens on the inside. They'll go side by side out of the corner, but they're going to keep it collected. Bit of a gaggle of cars here actually going into turn number 3. You see it starts with the 40 of Caressel and the 44 of Matt Durr. That's all the way back in the 15th spot, but it extends all the way forwards into 13th. Durr and Nicewong are in that fight as well. This is chaos in the midfield.
I was gonna say you got a driver analyst over here for the Great Lakes Truck Series who's raced a lot, and this is where I would be in this mess racing these guys. It's been awesome to see some of these guys that race each other every single week. And there's some frustrations at times, but there's also just a lot of fun. And this looks like a lot of fun right here. As long as they all keep it going straight, it's crazy because it's like you want to save a little bit of tire, but if you do, you're gonna lose 7 positions. And then if you use up your stuff, then you're probably gonna lose 7 positions later in the run. But we're getting
truck at the wall. It's Jim Duda, and 2, 3, 4 trucks are involved on the back straightaway. Lewis Woodall keeps it straight, but Nicholas Caressel and Jim Duda get sideways and up the outside wall. The caution is out again on lap 29 of 170. And I believe this will probably incentivize the field to come down pit road and take their first set of tires. But first, let's take a look at a replay of what happened.
Well, I jinxed them. I said, as long as they keep it going straight, and I think we had one get a little sideways off the corner or get in the wall. Yeah, it looks like Duda got in the wall and then just came down and kind of grabbed Cressel in the 40. Nowhere to go for
Duda.
Anyone else?
Duda had kind of been falling backwards on that run, and I imagine he was getting a little bit frustrated with the pace of that truck and just overdrove there on the exit of turn 2, put it in the wall. The field is coming down pit road, by the way, but we'll first ride on board with Evan Snyder as he tries to find a way through the carnage. He's able to dive down to the inside, so good job there by the 93 truck to make it through. Doesn't look like anyone got too much damage in that. These trucks can be pretty hardy at times. And Madalena's going to miss his pit box just a little bit. We'll see if that checks him up on exit is all. Baker misses it just a little bit as well, so I think Duda is going to hold the lead out of pit road. It'll be 4 tires for everybody in the field. No one electing to stay out. And Ross, your thoughts on this restart here? A bit of a reset as we approach lap 30.
Yeah, I think we have some different trucks up front as far as restarting at the front. We had the 8 and the 12 kind of leading both of the restarts, if I believe. So to have a little bit of a change up here with Jared Duda gonna get the opportunity to restart from the first spot, and then the 24 Manji now up there. So we look at the incident again. Yeah, great job by Snyder. You brought it up. We rode with his truck through that second replay we got to look at, and did a nice job of. I talked about how narrow it is. We'll see. Lewis was not as Woodall in the 13 here, not as lucky as Snyder as far as getting collected in that. It's a narrow backstretch, and it's very easy to. It's very tough to find a place to get by.
Oh yeah, I mean it's treacherous. I mean the way the turn 2 exits, it kind of just spits you out onto the back straightaway without a lot of wiggle room. It's almost similar to Dover in that way, and if you get it a little bit wrong, you could be in for a world of hurt, so to speak. So, looking at this upcoming restart, Jared Duda will have the lead. Tony Manji is in second. Baker messed up his pit stop badly. He'll be all the way back in position number 6. But what I think is interesting here is that Christian Peterson has sort of been given a second chance here. He'll be restarting up in P5. And after I don't want to say disappointing first run of the race, but a run of the race where he kind of fell behind Hunter Madalinas, this could be a good opportunity for Christian Peterson to get up there and challenge for the lead of this little championship battle.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he's hoping for a long run. I think that's his best bet. But I think this reset here gives him at least some track position where he doesn't have to potentially burn up his stuff early on. That's obviously you got to do that when you have those restarts. You got to gain your positions for these championship contenders that started mid pack. that's your opportunity to do it. Now I think your opportunity to get track position, and you're hoping for a long green run so you can get up into that top 3. But another interesting thing that we kind of missed there, just because of the incident in pit road, is we had Zach Henry had disconnected with connection issues. So our pole sitter tonight was running up in the top 5, and yeah, unfortunately not back on track yet.
So mechanical issues for Zach Henry. That'll shuffle up the running order just a little bit more. Coming back to the restart here, we'll be on lap 32 of 170. If we go green, we can expect pit stops at around lap 90, setting us up for 2 laps or 2 more stops to the end. And on one hand, I am inclined to agree with your point that a long run might be the best chance for Peterson to get up there in the fight. But at the same time, I feel like he's got to go now. His strategy of waiting around hasn't really worked this playoff, so let's see what he can do. Madalinas on the gas too hard. He'll spin the tires, and Peterson is going to go 3 wide up the inside. Duda leads us down into turn number 1, but look at Christian Peterson fighting hard on the bottom. They'll be side by side out of 2, and Peterson sideways.
Yeah, there's going to be a very interesting call there for maybe our officials to make after the race, as far as you can't change lanes before the start-finish line. It was very close. So, but Peterson's losing some positions regardless right now, kind of stuck up on that outside.
Yeah, that did not work out at all for Christian. He got wicked loose on the entry to turn 2 on the bottom of Terrell Baker, and that's just not working out for him. He has fallen back all the way outside the top 5, in danger of getting outside the top 10.
Yeah, and it's so tough when you lose those positions. Now, like I said, the restart, the last couple restarts, a lot of these drivers that had bad qualifying runs that arguably should be running up in the top 5 or have a chance to run in the top 5 tonight are taking advantage on those restarts. But then when you lose a bunch of positions on the restart, now you have to like pass each of them separately, unfortunately. So you lose not only an opportunity to gain some spots back, but now you're stuck behind a bunch of drivers and going to take some time. So looks like Madalinas to the inside here of Weeks battling for that 3rd spot.
Madalina's going to try and get that spot down the back straightaway, but Weeks is holding tough on the outside. Madalina's going to box him out just a little bit into turn 3 and try to get his right rear clear. He will, so Hunter Madalinas is up into 3rd. Meanwhile, up front, Tony Manji has closed the gap on Jared Duda. It's only 0.2 of a second now, and you can see the 2 different approaches to this racetrack. Duda up high and Manji on the bottom.
Yeah, and Duda really, the last run was doing a great job running kind of more the top lane and was able to kind of gap the 2nd place car. So I guess now Manji running the bottom here. Both of them have done a good job of getting away from that 3rd place battle, as Madalinas has now made it into 3rd by himself. Looks like Weeks and Baker are going to battle it out here, and for the first time tonight, we kind of have Elliot Henderson in the picture.
Baker's got 4th handily, and now Elliot Henderson, who's worked his way up to the front, is looking to get around Matthew Weeks for 5th. Meanwhile, Manji takes another swipe at Jared Duda there through turns 3 and 4. We saw Duda on that last run pretty much glued to the high line from the flag to the caution, and it was working out for him pretty well. The long run pace wasn't seeming to go away on the 53 truck, so like I said, that high line, it can be valuable here on the long run, that in a way that it's not really valuable at other tracks.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of doing 2 exactly different lines. On now the Manji, now I say something, Manji goes up to the top, but I was thinking, if we're going to have one run the top and run the bottom for a while on a green run here with no other traffic, this would be a perfect test to see. Yeah, but now Manji's running up top, basically following Duda.
Yeah, Manji doing a little bit of an offset there, trying to get some clean air on the nose of that 24 truck he saw on entry. He went a little higher than Duda, and then on exit kind of cut a little lower, until he'll follow a little bit more in his tire tracks. Behind them, by the way, Christian Peterson has been on a mission ever since falling back. He has been fighting hard to get some more spots. He nearly turned the 37 of Elliot Henderson out of turn number 2. And look at how hard he's sending it on the outside. He is driving hard, trying to get back up towards the top 5.
Yeah, a little bit of maybe upset aggression from the situation that happened on the start or on this last restart. But yeah, we kind of cool to see that. The 71 is usually pretty calm and takes his time. But I think we all know this track, you got to be aggressive, and there's a little bit of urgency tonight. If you want to have any chance if you're Christian Peterson to win this championship, you're going to have to really perform tonight. So if and even get some help beyond that. So yeah, doing his part to just drive back up there and up to 6th now.
I agree. I think the clock has run out in terms of how many more weeks you can sacrifice with a hope to make it up later. Peterson came into this race 21 points back. But hey, there's no stages in the Great Lakes Truck Series, so no points on the board so far. It'll all come down to where these guys finish. So Peterson definitely not out of the fight yet. There is a long way to go, and Madalinas is not getting any points in the bank. Peterson now moves to the outside of Matthew Weeks, and welcome back to the top 5. Christian Peterson re-enters 5th place.
That was a really tough spot too for Weeks, but that's the way that Rockingham drives. When Peterson kind of used the top lane to get to his outside, exiting 2, Weeks kind of had to stop his exit to basically give room because there was a truck to his outside, and that gave the slowed his momentum to give Henderson an opportunity to get by him now too.
Yeah, Henderson makes a move as well on Matthew Weeks. Peterson, by the way, has gotten to the outside of Terrell Baker. He loses a little bit of ground at the center of the corner, but he gets such a great run down the straightaway, he's able to just cut to the inside. Peterson, by the way, running a bit of a different paint scheme than he usually does. Normally we see him in those bright blue and orange Altus Esports colors. Today, he's got a bit more of a throwback look here for Rockingham.
Yeah, maybe trying to change up the luck. It wasn't, as far as, like you said, closing the gap for the championship. It hasn't been working yet, but he is closing the gap on the track now around Baker for 4th, and now he's right behind Madalinas. So at least putting some pressure on that 7 truck.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Christian Peterson, you kind of just want to do something. You haven't really made any dents on Madalinas' championship lead since Atlanta, and I mean, that race was just so chaotic. I think it's hard to count that as any sort of real damage done. So Peterson, I think he just wants to get something done here. Even if it's just a little bit of points out of Madalinas' lead, he just wants to beat him.
Yeah, and
Tony Manji caught the wall, by the way, in 1 and 2, so that'll extend Duda's lead just a little bit.
The other thing I was just kind of thinking about, you look at these 2 leaders, Duda and Manji, able to kind of drive away. They're teammates with Peterson, maybe all in the chat together talking about what's working, what's not. So, yeah, it's looking like Peterson is on the same pace as those lead trucks teammates of his.
I mean, Duda's kind of got this race on lock so far. He has been far and away the class of the field aside from qualifying. I think it's that line he's found. He's just comfortable running the top, and it doesn't seem to be hurting his tires. Might be why Peterson's kind of copied it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see maybe if we'll see other drivers kind of run that top. It seems to be working. We have a lap truck. Looks like Duda's going to be catching up to here, but probably going to be easy to get around him. Looks like so.
So Duda's got that 1 second lead looking back through the field. Most of the drivers here have kind of single filed out. There's not a lot of battling going on, but just around the 13th position, there's a bit of a scrap. Lewis Woodall's trying to run down Jim Duda. Duda, again, kind of losing some time. Remember, these 2 were the ones involved in that incident on lap 30.
Yeah, we saw this the great action that is kind of the 11th to 17th place running trucks in this series can be pretty intense. You got drivers, you have Darling here, Fitzgerald, these guys that can win races occasionally too. So it's trucks that are fast and people that know how to race around each other. It looks like some varying lines here too. Durr running the bottom, Darling in front of him running up top.
Yeah, Spencer Owens, kind of one of the drivers that has probably had a bit of a disappointing race by his standards. He made the chase and had a couple of good runs throughout the season, but right now he is running just inside the top 20, so not a great race so far for the 23 truck.
Yeah, I think, when you come to a place like Rockingham, there, the biggest thing will be if cautions fall, you could maybe have some differing strategies. Otherwise, it's straight up, who can save their tires, who can drive more aggressively and still protect their stuff, and you just see Weeks able to get around the 8. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a driver's racetrack.
Truck the wall. Blair Neabone in the outside wall. He is a very slow lap truck and kind of opened up a gap there for the number 8 of Terrell Baker to slide on by the 37 of Elliot Henderson. So Baker back up into P6. Neabone going to be on the apron. More and more drivers, by the way, are moving up top. For a while, it was just Jared Duda up at the front, but now towards the mid-pack, Jared Darling's moved up. Gavin Fitzgerald, he's kind of running the middle. Matt Durr's on the high line as well. So more drivers moving up as the run goes on.
Yeah, you see Henderson here trying to get to the inside of Baker, and it you know, you have to almost slow the truck down so much on the bottom, especially in 1 and 2, that it you know, early in the run it works to be able to drive it, you know, underneath somebody and be side by side exiting the corner. You'll see Henderson here look to the inside, but as you get to the end of the corner, it's just so hard to get underneath the driver. So yeah, it's definitely tougher as the tires wear. As it's like Manji has fallen back to the 3rd and 4th place runners, the 7 and the 71.
Whoa, contact out at turn number 4. Manji and Madalinas get together. Manji side drafting him down the track, and I think he's a little displeased with the 7, who's going to rough him up again in turn 1. Peterson's kind of just sitting, waiting in the wings, but that's a precarious spot for for Hunter Madalinas to be. They're going to touch again. Madalinas. Oh, this is tight, and this is where something could go wrong for the championship. He is playing fast and loose with that right rear, and I don't think Manji's too pleased with him. There are a handful of times there that I thought, oh, and Madalinas is going to get sent into turn 1. Manji is not happy with the driver of the number 7. And these are the kinds of things you really cannot do if you're trying to not throw away a championship. Hunter Madalinas' aggression hasn't caught up with him much this season, but Tony Manji there clearly not eager to lay over for the 7 truck.
Yeah, and a few little words back and forth in the chat, but I think you know, when you're discussing whether or not you know, somebody came up or you're too low on the straightaway, that shows you how tough Rockingham is. Even on the straightaway, it's like we said, the narrow backstretch and then the always turning front stretch. It's even tough on the straightaways here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult track to get around, as here comes Elliott Henderson looking to make a move on Terrell Baker. And not only is it a difficult track to get around, but it's hard to pass. I mean, the corners are so slow that it's honestly difficult to really get a run on anyone and really keep that momentum. So you got to be aggressive. I can't really fault Madalinas for what he did.
Yeah, and I think now he's clear. He's starting to drive away, and yeah, the biggest loser in that situation was Manji, who's now back to 5th, and it looks like here we got Baker, Henderson, Kepf, all these guys are going to start catching him after he probably used up a lot of his stuff racing the 7. But it all is working out for Jared Duda, who's now up to like a 5-second lead, huge lead going right now.
And Madalinas is pulling away from Tony Manji, but he's not pulling away from Christian Peterson, who is hounding him for that 2nd spot. It's about a car length and a half between them, with Matthew Weeks lurking in 3rd. These 3 were your championship contenders, but unfortunately, a wreck at Auto Club took Weeks out of any sort of real contention. It was very unfortunate. He had a very good run going until then, but I think Weeks is still looking to make a little bit of a statement here. So really, the 3 best drivers all season are right here under a blanket going into turn 3 and 4.
I wonder what Weeks was thinking when he saw the 24 Manji racing the 7 and the 71 basically just on the bumpers. 71 now. Peterson's going to look to the inside of Madalinas. If you're Weeks, you're probably like, man, maybe something happens to you two. Then at least next week I could go to the race at least having a shot, right? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Peterson's able to get around Madalinas. Going to try to way up by the wall. He's in the wall.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for Christian Peterson, but not if he does stuff like that. And it can be difficult not to with how the dirty air can affect these trucks. But, yeah, Christian Peterson, he's got an opportunity now to pounce on the 7 of Madalinas. I don't think hitting the wall did any damage to him. It just killed a little bit of his momentum and maybe got his confidence down a little bit. But I think he should still be in this fight.
And I think Weeks here, we've just kind of seen him just kind of sneak up in the picture here. We'll see if a longer run here, if this... where his tires are at, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we we're probably about halfway through a run here, and where these drivers will pit. You know, Duda's got such a nice lead; he can kind of see what everyone else does, before deciding anything as far as a pit stop.
Yeah, Duda's in a nice position here because he can kind of react to whatever happens behind him. And he's continuing to extend his lead, by the way. I don't know if some of that is Madalinas just backing off, not using up his stuff, trying to run away from Christian Peterson, or if some of that is Madalinas just struggling a little bit on his tires. Either way, though, it looks like out of these 3, Matthew Weeks is actually in the best spot. Side by side out of turn number 2, Elliott Henderson and Shane Neiswanger. Sorry, that was Neiswanger and Kepf. They're going to stay side by side into 3 and 4, but I think Nicewonger is going to have that spot on exit. Yes, he will. So move Shane up into 8th.
Yeah, no, it looks like Michael says he's going to try to make the pass on Caps now, but he's got another truck right behind him there. I don't see who that was. Yeah, some close battling up in the top 10.
Peterson, by the way, I don't want to say he's struggling, but he's not really running down Madalinas, I'm sure, as he would have liked to. I do think Madalinas is, we've seen him do this a lot this season, kind of just sitting in front of them, kind of playing with his food. I think that, I'm sure he'd like to run down Jared Duda, but at the same time, I don't think he wants to burn up his stuff trying to get away from Peterson. Madalinas has really just been so calm and collected during these playoffs, and I think a lot of that is just because he's always kind of had the upper hand. I think that there's just kind of a mental aspect to it where he knows he's not the underdog. He knows that things are kind of going to work out for him.
Yeah, and I think right now he's like you said, there's not much you can do with that 53 truck being 6 seconds in the lead. It's going to be really hard to catch him unless you have something on the pit stops or potentially a caution. So I do think Peterson probably could potentially race Madalinas for the lead, but he's got to deal with Weeks here. And here's Matthew Weeks going to look to the inside. And I think if they were by themselves, they probably potentially could pass the 7. But right now they're battling each other.
Yeah, I mean, not to get poetic here, but I mean, throughout the season, this battle here is sort of a microcosm of what we've seen. Madalinas is just so calm and collected out front that even though technically he's vulnerable to Weeks and Peterson, they're just spending so much time kind of trying to get around him that they end up just burning up their own stuff. So we'll see Peterson try again on the inside of Madalinas, but he just gets a little too tight on exit to turn down the track, and Madalinas holds that gap. It's what we've seen all year.
And we'll see what happens. I think Peterson, if he gets the opportunity to run up high for a couple laps and Madalinas run the bottom, I think he's going to have a chance to at least maybe get a run on Madalinas. I just don't know if right now the 71 is able to run the bottom at all. So even if he gets a run, I think the Madalinas will probably use the top lane and just kind of keep him at bay.
Yeah, he's kind of just keeping those two battling. One battle that is kicking off a little bit more, though, is for P6, Terrell Baker trying to hold off Elliot Henderson. Henderson goes back to the bottom. Watch how Elliot Henderson just able to drive down the track on exit. Baker has a nice run off the top, but it's not as much as you'd expect, so those two lines are kind of starting to equalize, in my opinion.
And
Madalinas might have tagged the wall in turn 1. So now he might be on the back foot a little bit as Christian Peterson puts a little bit more pressure on the 7 truck. Madalinas up high again.
Try to run middle lane here, maybe even closer to the bottom. I just don't know if he can get his truck to turn right now.
Yeah, Peterson's doing a pretty good job. Now we're watching Gavin Fitzgerald and Matt Durr side by side. Or we'll switch back up to the battle for a second. Yeah, Madalinas. I mean, where Madalinas is really strong is the fact that he's able to give up time on corner entry without giving any up through the center. So he's kind of able to just float the truck into the corner and then drive it out. Peterson, he looks like he's pedaling it a little bit more on entry, trying to pick up speed. Madalinas just a little bit more calm, a little bit more collected.
And now they kind of gotten apart a little bit more, as now we're going to see a pit stop. Looks like the 63 of Eric Kep is in. I don't mind this at all. This is obviously a track, we're seeing times fall off. We're seeing tires go away. If you're a guy like Kep, you're here just to try to do something different. I don't blame him at all to maybe pit here and try to get tires early.
I don't blame him, but it does seem a little bit early, especially at a track like Rockingham where we're wearing off the tires so fast. I think you'd want to have that extra tire in your back pocket for the next run here that we're going to see, but we'll see how it works out. Baker is under pressure again from Elliot Henderson, who goes to the inside. Baker got about as close to the wall there as you can get without hitting it. It just gave him a nice run off the corner, so Henderson stays at bay for now. Baker, one of those drivers that pretty much every opportunity he gets is right up against the... Well, now he went to the bottom. Thanks, man. But for the most part, will run the wall at every chance he gets, and I think we're seeing that again here today. We saw it at Auto Club, and we're seeing it at Rockingham. We're on the bottom this time, but I think that's to get around Manji.
Yeah, and Manji's doing kind of not far off of what Madalinas is doing farther up in the top 10 here. So it's where you're probably a little slower than these guys behind you, but running that top lane, you can kind of have a defensive line to a point where, like you said, it's so hard to pass. But these, it's stacked up the drivers behind him here, and they're all kind of running single file. This is where it's so inviting. We saw Kep.
Oh, Baker hard on the wall.
Yeah, getting the wall there a little bit. That's really easy to do. Just kind of over jump the cushion here as you're trying to get a little faster entry. Is now the 56 of Matthew Weeks is in.
Okay, this is really interesting because Matthew Weeks is your first of your top 3 to come down pit road. So he blinks first. Who is going to react? Will Madalenas come in? Will Peterson come in? Or might Duda come in to try and cover off an undercut? I can't imagine they would. I think they know how important it's going to be to have tires at the end of the run. But, I mean, if they miscalculate a little bit, this could be a good opportunity for Matthew Weeks. Jackson Sims in as well.
Yeah, we saw Eric Kep was the first one on pit road. And so far, running on about a second and a third faster per lap than our leaders are. So, yeah, definitely. If you're, obviously Duda has that 7-second lead now. These drivers could pit, 5, 6, 7 laps before him, and he still would have the lead when he comes back out. So he's got the luxury to be able to go as far as he can here. I think some of these other drivers that are gonna, that are in these tight battles, it's just a matter of can you get to the pit road a lap or two before the drivers you're around to maybe get ahead of them, and then do the defensive thing that we're seeing guys like Manji and Madalenas be able to do.
Yeah, definitely. And Jared Duda's put up a great start to the race so far. Gives them a nice amount of insurance towards the second half of this race. Elliot Henderson, by the way, trying to put a move on Tony Manji. Baker was his attacker for a while, but they've swapped out. So now Henderson will try and get down the inside of Tony Manji. And I wonder if Baker here is maybe laying back and letting Henderson attack. Something to think about at Rockingham is that because sometimes you can get yourself in a position where if you try to pass, you end up getting freight trained, it can be better to just kind of let someone go and let them try to make the pass, because anyone who can kind of disrupt the status quo of just running single file up by the wall is going to have an advantage. By the way, Jared Duda lost 0.5 of a second to Hunter Madalenas last time by. The gap went from 7 seconds to 5.8. In that time, Madalenas has also put about 0.2 on Christian Peterson. So that number 7 truck is coming alive as we get towards the end of this run.
Yeah, I kind of looked over and saw that as these guys are racing so hard right here. We saw down the backstretch, Henderson and Manji were kind of banging doors there, trying to get the position. Now it's going to be Nicewanger's turn to try to get around Manji here. We'll see if he can do it. But yeah, I think Duda had leading this race. Lap traffic is something that he's kind of having to deal with, and not necessarily just passing them, but also getting passed by some of these drivers that are on fresh tires.
And Nicewanger, look at that. Right on the outside of Tony Manji, he perfectly got to the right rear. So while Henderson and Baker were scrambling, Nicewanger took advantage and got them both. Meanwhile, Christian Peterson is on pit road for 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, that was a nice job by Nicewanger. Now everyone's going to do it, but now it looks like maybe Manji's going to pit here. But yeah, it's going to get tight there as he's trying to get that thing turned down to pit road.
And Terrell Baker comes down pit road as well. That was a risky move from him. Trent Curtis up the track in 3 and 4, nearly clipped somebody in the left rear. And actually, that was a great pit entry from Terrell Baker. Look at that. He just gained a spot.
Yeah, we said you got to get to the outside of Manji to pass him. I was thinking on track. He was like, I'll just do it on pit road. So Nicewanger going to pit this lap now. And looks like Duda is coming into pit too as Madalenas is still on track.
So Madalenas will get the race lead, but look, I'm going to be honest here. I do not think pitting early is a good call. I think Madalenas knows what he's doing by staying out here, because we're definitely setting up for a green flag run in this race. And by pitting early like that, I mean, you're sacrificing a lot of time on the back half of the run. Madalenas brings it to pit road this time by. He got on pit road perfectly. No speeding there by the number 7 truck. So he will surrender the lead to Elliot Henderson. Oh, and there's a 3-car fight behind him, by the way. James Shiflett is on the inside on fresh tires, so is the 56. So Darling is kind of caught out on the high line, and that'll let Michael Senzi close down that gap just a little bit. Duda's out of pit road. He finds himself on the inside of a 3-wide situation, but he should be able to take off here through 3 and 4, unless James Shiflett goes around. He saves it. Good save by James Shiflett. He'll get back on track, but that's going to hamper the 53 truck just a little bit. Madalenas is rolling out of pit road now. Duda gets the spot from him, but Madalenas is going to have fresher tires and a bit of a, not a smaller gap, but smaller than it would have been if Duda hadn't gotten caught up there. Whoa, and 2 trucks in the wall in 3 and 4, and they're spinning! Oh, and it's Christian Peterson! Christian Peterson is around in the middle of 3 and 4, your championship contender. Sideways in the middle of turns 3 and 4. The damage is minimized, so he should be able to continue. The engine looks okay as well. No smoke out of the 71. But Christian Peterson just took a big shot.
Yeah, and as long as he doesn't have much damage, I think ultimately he's I think you'd want to keep it green, of course. He's going to be a lap down here, but yeah, I think that he probably is okay, but this is what some of those drivers that were staying out were hoping for, is a caution. And it's just basically 71 getting into the 51 of Curtis, and then Sims coming in afterwards.
Yeah, Peterson had a great opportunity there to just split the 2 lapped trucks in front of him. Instead, he stayed behind, and I'm not really sure why he did that, because he could have had them both in one, and instead, he got himself in a crash. So, I don't know if maybe that was just poor thinking on Peterson's part, or just a little bit of desperation kind of clouding his judgment, but Peterson kind of just took himself out of the championship race.
Yeah, we'll see how much damage he has, but this is really going to mix it up, because we had at least 6, maybe 7 drivers that had not pitted yet. They're all going to come down and get their tires right now. They're on pit road, and all those front runners that had already pitted are a lap down. Other than looks like Manalinas is going to maybe get his lap back here. I'm just kind of trying to sort it out myself. It's it's just a matter of it looks like he is back on the lead lap. So it'll be interesting to see where some of these drivers cycle through and what place they're in. But yeah, some of these, the 1 of Jared Darling, the 92 of Senzi, 44 of Durr, 14 of Fitzgerald. A lot of these guys are going to gain some track position by staying out there.
Yeah, so Madalinas does get his lap back. We'll take another look at what happened here. But yeah, I mean, you got to kind of feel for Christian Peterson, because he just that's a big shot to his championship race. I mean, he was doing a great job capitalizing off of Madalinas', I don't want to say lack of pace, but I mean, Madalinas definitely wasn't flying away with the race by any means, and well, Peterson had a good opportunity to take points off him, and instead he ended up backwards in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and the worst part about that is when you pit and get tires, then you come back on track, and then you are part of the caution. As much as Peterson would like to come down and maybe see if he's got damage or anything, you almost have to. You can't pit, so now he's staying out right now. He's hoping to get the waiver on. Looks like he's going to, because he has to, because that's your only opportunity to keep your race going. So we saw a big, big contact in the rear of the truck. And I think that is something that maybe it won't hurt him too bad, but you're not going to be able to go look at it or go fix it right now, because he's got to take a wave around right now.
Yeah, so Peterson is not out of this race, but definitely is going to be hampered a little bit. Jared Duda was not affected by that at all. He will restart as your race leader. Madalinas will be down in 9th, and between them we got Darling, Senzi, Durr, Fitzgerald, Weeks, Kepf, Caressel, and then Madalinas, as we were just talking about. Trent Curtis rounds out your top 10. So a bit of an interesting restart here. Jared Duda will be your leader. Jared Darling on the high side, so 2 Jareds on the front row. Madalinas is going to have to work his way back up from 9th. He got the lucky dog, or might have been the wave round on that last caution. Actually, yeah, so I think Madalinas was the wave round, or the lucky dog, because he's got to start behind these lap down trucks. And then behind them will be Christian Peterson. So definitely not over yet. And Madalinas, I mean, he could still get caught up in a crash. It's definitely not all said and done. But we'll just have to see what happens here. So we're restarting on lap 94 of 170. Jared Duda has control of the field. And into the Geico restart zone he goes. He is back underway. We are back racing from the Rock.
Yeah, another interesting kind of strategy thing. We had Kev and Weeks. Both were probably on the front end of that green flag pit stop. So they were able to get back on track, use those tires to unlap themselves. So then when the caution came out, they weren't a lap down like a lot of these other front runners were. But now they had to use another set of tires just to be on the same sequence as these leaders. So gained some track position better than some of their other competitors as far as the guys that were running up in the top 10, but now down a set of tires to some of these other drivers. So interesting to see is, man, some of these drivers getting super loose off the corner.
Yeah, and by the way, Madalenas did come down pit road as the lucky dog, but he only did so to top off on fuel, so he did not take any fresh tires. And he's going to make a 3-wide pass here on the front straightaway. He got Lewis Woodall out of shape through turns 3 and 4, got him out of the groove, and as a result, he is able to get a couple of spots there. So Madalenas continuing to charge back towards the front. Now he's got Nicholas Caressel to deal with. Caressel tags the wall. We got a crash in the back. Jackson Sims, I believe, around. Caution is out. No, that was the 4 of Rod Fasnaugh. So Fasnaugh goes around on the back straightaway. Caution out again.
Definitely looked like he had some kind of help. If I won't see the replay here, maybe it was just deceiving, but it looked like whether it was his fault he brought somebody with him. Oh, it looks like the 71 of Peterson.
Again.
Yeah. I saw Peterson kind of low there. I thought maybe he was just trying to avoid the wreck, but it looks like part of that situation with the 4.
Yeah, I think we got to maybe take another look at that to see what started it, but it definitely started with the 71 hitting the 4. We'll go on board with Peterson now. So he's on the bottom here. That's Fasnaugh on the high side, and Peterson just got loose and overcorrected. This race is going from bad to worse for Christian Peterson after such a promising start.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully this is an opportunity for a reset now. You can come down, get tires, see if you do have any damage, and just kind of reset here because we're just, we're still a long way to go in this race, at least a full run. So you can still salvage something out of this. We're gonna have a little bit of a mixed strategy now with some drivers coming down and getting tires now. Some of them maybe were the wave arounds from the previous caution. But yeah, a little bit of a mix here as we got looks like the 14 of Fitzgerald, the 40 of Caressel, Manji in the 24, Nicewanger, Owens, all pitting here.
Yeah, so Peterson is on pit road. He's getting that damage fixed up and getting some 4 fresh tires as well. That'll be useful because obviously he spun the tires that he was just on. The issue now is that he's only going to have, I want to say, 2 sets of tires left for the rest of the race. Or he might still have 3. He might still have 3. No, he'll have 2. You'll have 2 left. He'll have 2.
Yeah, they didn't tell us there was going to be math involved here, right? Our counting, at least, it's hard to know sometimes what tire sets are left, but I think that this is going to be really interesting where we're at here. If by chance it goes green, can you make it 70 laps? We saw a lot of drivers go 60 on that last run, and then a couple of these drivers that are up front and got that track position, they were closing in on 70. So can you go from here? Now, some of these front runners that are staying out here, that's going to be closer to 80 because they're not pitting on this yellow. So some of these drivers that are pitting now, I think I really like that move because that gets you at least close to trying to make it to the end if you want to save your stuff. So it'll be interesting. Really hope this goes green to see if that works out for some of these guys that pitted.
Well, I like that it gives you a little bit of an advantage tires-wise. I mean, if we go green to the end here, it's only about a 2.5 lap advantage on tires, but it'll make a difference. I mean, the truck on iRacing, it doesn't tend to, I don't know what the right word is, like reset the tires that much. Cars like the next gen, you can kind of stay out on old tires and it won't make much of a difference. The truck, it does make a good amount of difference, especially early on in the run. So what I like this for Christian Peterson is that it kind of creates an opportunity for him. Whereas before he was kind of stuck on these older tires compared to everyone else. Now he's got fresh tires. He's got a little bit of an advantage. He can try and do something with it. What we need to figure out now is basically if he has any sets of tires left. If we started the race with 5 total sets of tires, he'll have 1 set left. If we started the race with 5 extra sets of tires, he will have 2 sets left. And I'm waiting on confirmation from our producer on that. It'll be one or the other. Either way, he'll have 1 set left at least for this last run, but I definitely would rather have 2. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, we got 5 extra sets of tires, so Peterson is going to have 2 sets of tires left for these last 70 laps. I don't hate those odds. I think those are pretty decent. He can pit about after 25 laps. All right, here we go. Pace truck going to make the left turn onto pit road now. Jared Duda, he's been dominant all race, will lead us back to green. Through that first set of double white lines, he'll take off, and we're back underway at the Rock.
Yeah, other than the 53, that bottom lane kind of got a little bit of a stack up. but ultimately everybody kind of gave each other a break and green so far down the back there.
A little bit of contact out of turn 2. Peterson got into the back bumper of Robin Durr, so more trouble for him. 3 wide looking in the middle of the field here. Madalinas on the inside. Got one truck blinking. That's Jackson Sims on the high side. Most of the chaos here in the midfield. Madalinas is trying to work his way through it, but he's got Spencer Owens on his outside. Can't do much. Durr and Manji side by side. We got one truck spinning off to the inside. Evan Snyder. No caution. Will stay green. It's off track. Henderson gets around Manji for 6th. Manji then got run up into the wall by Henderson. That'll check him up a little bit. Madalina's going to look to his inside. Duda up front continuing to run the wall and run away from the field.
I think Manji was trying to get to the outside of Henderson. Just that's definitely an easy way to pass if you can get to the outside of somebody. But yeah, it was no room there. As Madalina's now going to look to his inside. But yeah, this is a great opportunity for some of these drivers up in the top 5 with Senzi and Kepf up there. Both of them having a great day and able to kind of capitalize on this track position now. And Madalina's going to try to work back up there for bringing the free pass during that caution from during the green flag run there.
And it's a good break for Spencer Owens as well. So Spencer Owens, he was running outside basically the top 20 early on in this race, and now he's able to get his way up into 10th. So we'll see what he can do with this extra track position. Peterson's up to 13th, working on the inside of Jim Duda, but that's a lap truck. So his next driver will be Gavin Fitzgerald, who's actually a good way up the road. Christian Peterson kind of mired back in traffic right now. Another driver that we haven't talked about in a little bit, Terrell Baker. He got caught a lap down under that last caution and has oh, we got a crash! Turns 1 and 2, couple of trucks on the outside wall. Baker's hard in the wall. Peterson gets through it. A couple of cars started that crash. Baker was the only one that got around. We were just talking about how he got trapped a lap down, and that is going to end his day. Baker on pit road with a blown engine.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happened here. I don't know. Tough way to be up, battling for a great finish today for that 8 truck to ultimately get involved here and then kind of get looks like a battle in front of him that caused it and then just kind of got hooked.
Yeah, not to be inflammatory, but Gavin Fitzgerald kind of cleared himself on that one. He looked to get to the bottom of the corner there on Matt Durr, and Durr just still had a nose there. Take another look at it. Yeah, just not quite clear. And the stack up is what sent Peterson into the outside wall. Or not Peterson, sorry, a different red truck. Terrell Baker into the outside wall.
Yeah, now this yellow is going to fall pretty much in a spot where you could pit here and make it to the end for sure as far as on tires and fuel. And we saw that a 60-lap run. This is going to be about a 60-lap run if it went green. But a couple of those drivers that pitted on the previous yellow are now staying out. So it'll be interesting to see what this does, including the 71 of Christian Peterson. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Jared Duda here he's pitting and racing off pit road with Jared Darling here. It's going to be, a guy that's led a bunch of laps tonight in that 53 truck, going to have to work his way back up there.
Yeah, this actually really did shake things up because not only did the majority of the field pit, some of them pitted for tires, some of them didn't. So Matthew Weeks, just to recap here, Matthew Weeks and Shane Neiswanger are on fuel only. Jared Duda on back are all on 4 tires. Nobody took 2. But a couple of drivers stayed out entirely, those being, I'm going to just list everybody here regardless of whether they're on the lead lap. Blair Neobone, Robin Durr, James Shiflett, Jackson Sims, Christian Peterson, Spencer Owens, and Tony Manji. So your top 3 now are going to be Manji, Owens, and Peterson. Neiswanger and Weeks are your first drivers that pitted, but they only took fuel. Your first driver on tires is going to be Jared Duda. So Duda and Darling should both have 2 sets left for the rest of the race.
I like what Peterson's doing here. We look at this championship battle. Really, what he needs tonight is he needs to run top 5, and then he needs something. He needs some help. He needs something to happen to that 7 truck. You don't ever want to wish that, but obviously that's your only chance, right? So by being behind him on the previous run, it's going to be hard to gain a lot of points when you're on the same strategy and you're behind them. Now you're going to be up near the front. We just saw a multi-car wreck because everybody was bunched up, just after a restart. If you're the 71, maybe you're hoping for a little bit of chaos behind you. You could stay up here and stay clean, at least for a little while, whether you can make it from here or not, or needing to pit later. So I don't mind this at all. This is kind of the Hail Mary, I guess, as far as trying to survive into next week.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson has kind of done two things by staying out here. Number one, he's got himself some track position and some clean air, but in a more general sense, he's kind of offset himself from Madalinas. Earlier on in the race, him and the 7 truck were kind of running the same strategy, so he pretty much had to rely on beating him straight up. Now, Peterson's kind of put himself in a position to take advantage of something else happening, and a lot of that is kind of going to be luck-based, but it almost, how do I say this? He sort of entered a lottery, right? By staying out under this caution, he's kind of purchased his lottery ticket. It's not a super high chance of it working out. I think Madalinas is still on the preferred strategy, but if anything changes here, the lottery could go in Peterson's way, and really only time will tell. We got 60 laps for something to happen. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, it's all going to be about whether or not Madalinas is able to basically just survive the night, and if he does, then it makes next week kind of a celebration race, I guess, for Madalinas going to our final race.
The green flag is back out. We are back underway. Outside line stacking up just a little bit. We'll let Manji get away on the bottom. Watch for that 53 of Duda. You know he's hungry to get back to the front. Peterson gonna clear for second out of turn number 2. Owens on the high side, just trying to do anything he can to salvage a pretty bad race here. No disrespect to Spencer Owens, he's a great driver, but today has not been his day. 3 wide behind. Here comes Shane Neiswanger up the middle. He'll stall out just a little bit, but he is able to get to the outside of Matthew Weeks. Darling darting for the high side there on the front straightaway. He does not want to get caught out.
I like Weeks and Neiswanger here battling. If this goes green, I think the winner of this battle here is going to have a great chance to potentially win this race. So it'll be interesting to see. I think these front runners, Manji especially right now, if he gets an opportunity to get away here, he has a shot to win. But these guys that are just pitted, they're all kind of battling. All 4 of them counted 5 with Darling, all next to each other here.
Well, the other battle to keep your eye on is the one between Madalinas and Jared Duda. I think the winner of that battle might have the best chance to win the race because they're both on the preferred strategy. They've both got fresh tires now, and a big block by Christian Peterson out of turn number 4. He's racing a little desperate now. We also just received words that he might have 2 5-point penalties coming his way for lane change violations. So Christian Peterson, the odds are really not favoring him now. He has got to hope for something major here as Jared Duda sends it to the inside of Shane Neiswanger in 3 and 4. He wants to get back to the front. Madalinas, he has a run on Weeks. He's going to go to the high side and try and follow through Spencer Owens. I thought he might send it 3 wide. Duda, whoa, barely clear of the 49 of Neiswanger. That was a bold move by Jared Duda, and it worked out.
And he sees that 7 truck in front of him battling the 56. Like I said, I think that these guys are all thinking that there's an opportunity here with these tires to potentially have a chance to win. And be on the strategy where they know they can make it.
Jared Duda, hard outside wall. He's up the catch fence. He's riding the outside wall through 1 and 2, and the dominant truck of the day is out. He got turned by the 49 of Neiswanger. Those two came to blows again, and the race has shifted once more, this time definitively in the favor of Hunter Madalinas. Duda retires. He's out.
Yeah, and I think that Neiswanger was to his outside, and I just think he ran out of room. I think Duda was hoping that Neiswanger would maybe give him a break there, but he was there.
Yeah, Duda, I think he was just trying to open up the entry as much as he could, but man, there was a car there. You can't go up that high. And it just turned him into the wall. It destroyed the front end of the 53. He had to get a tow back to pit road, and yeah, dominant truck of the day is out. Seems like every driver that's got a chance of beating Hunter Madalinas has just tripped over themselves one way or another. I don't know what's in the water or what, but Hunter Madalinas, he's just got some sort of aura about him because anytime someone tries to beat him, well, they end up in the catch fence. Take another look at it.
And Neiswanger really having a great night tonight, and able to kind of capitalize on some track position. And yeah, now it's just a matter of how much damage he has. Can't be
Peterson's
too
on
bad,
pit
but
road again.
he is on pit road.
Tires and fuel for the 71.
Yeah, this will be interesting. We have a lot of drivers now just maybe coming down pit road, kind of a reset, knowing that maybe this would be a spot where you could grab your tires and then maybe even stay out if you get other cautions the rest of the way. But a driver that did stay out and is going to take over the lead is the 7 of Hunter Madalena. So it'll be our championship favorite is going to be out front. But a lot of the drivers here are like, oh no, here we go again. This is the moment that we've seen so often in these races.
Yeah, it's almost with a begrudging tone that we say that Hunter Madalenas is in the race lead. You know, obviously we don't have any agenda up here, but man, it'd be nice to get a new winner every once in a while. But Hunter Madalenas, when he's looked stoppable, everybody else finds a way to stop themselves. We'll put the 7 truck back up front with about 50 laps to go here. Also been informed that the 37 of, oh shoot, what's his name? Elliot Henderson, sorry guys, has been given a meatball. Well, not given a meatball, has a meatball for, I probably shouldn't say meatball, I should probably just say unrepairable damage, or damage that needs to be taken to pit road is probably the best way to say it, but meatball for the 37 truck. He's got damage on the right side, if I had to guess, so another contender taking a hit here. Take another look at it. Pow! There it is.
Yeah, it didn't
Bit of a
look
shock
too.
to the right front.
It didn't look too bad, but yeah, it probably hit that right front tire, and that can sometimes just, yeah, like you say, end your race, or at least have you on pit road for multiple laps fixing damage. So we'll see if he's able to at least salvage something out of this. But yeah, it's the Madalena show a lot of times here, and that happens. But this one will be a little unique because obviously he's not on the freshest of tires. There are only a couple laps on his tires, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of staying out here. I think he's got a lot of cars here. Senzi, Curtis, and Kepth are all kind of in between him from where and actually Kepth is pitted this caution, so he's the first one on fresh tires, or at least that had pitted here, and then Manji on back. So
all right, let's think about this. Everybody that pitted under this caution probably has one set of tires left in the pits waiting for them. We got a 50-lap run to the end here, so that leaves room for about 2 25-lap runs in their strategy. I like that. I think that's a pretty reasonable bet. Madalenas is probably setting on 2 extra sets of tires, which allows for 2 18-lap runs. I like that as well. So I don't think anyone's really in a bad spot here, but Madalenas is definitely going to be on the back foot for a little bit. But if we get 2 cautions for the rest of this race separated by decently sized runs, might not be a bad play. So that's where everybody is. Peterson's on that first strategy where he needs about a 25-lap run here before a caution. Pace truck is in. We're going to go back green this time by. Madalenas has control, and he is going to take off. So we are back green at Rockingham. 50 to go here at the Rock.
And a E95 teammate in Michael Senzi right there in second for Hunter Madalenas. That's also a nice relief to know that your teammate is restarting alongside you when you go grab the lead here. So we'll see. As we got some other drivers now, the 98, the 23. We talked a little bit about them up in the top 10 now due to, like you said, a little bit of attrition so far.
It is now go time for the 71 of Christian Peterson. He's loose out of turn 2. He's on the wall. Hard lick for the 71, and man, these guys cannot stop tripping over themselves. All right, Christian Peterson tags the wall. He's going to bleed a couple of spots there, and with that 5-point penalty looming over his head, rather multiple 5-point penalties looming over his head for lane change violations, man, Christian Peterson is really having a rough go of it here. So Madalenas has the lead over Michael Senzi. Trent Curtis is in third. Your first driver on tires is back in P4, Tony Manji. Peterson slow again out of turn number 2.
Yeah, this is just a snowball night for Peterson. We'll see if his last 40-some laps here, if he can salvage anything. Is another guy we thought had a chance to maybe win tonight. Weeks here in the 56, back up there, back into the top 5 now. Looks like Darlene and Kept here, losing a couple spots since the restart. Or I guess Darlene did pit and now picking back up where he left off. But we'll see now if anyone's able to do anything with these front runners as Curtis is up in the wall.
Trent Curtis, hard of the wall, he's going to spin. He got turned by the 24 of Tony Manji, and Gavin Fitzgerald goes around as well, off the bumper of Christian Peterson. A hard lick to the 51 sends him up in the air. Caution's out again. That was a weird one. That was a really weird one.
Yeah, I don't know if, we saw Curtis get in the wall, and I think that probably also happened farther in the back, but really easy. You get up front here, you're on the edge the first time up, up into the top 5 for some of these drivers tonight, and you're, step over the edge and unfortunately get the wall.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but sort of careless errors being made in this race. A lot of guys just slapping the wall out of turn 2 and making mistakes. I mean, it's understandable. Rockingham is a hard track to drive, but that seems to be the cause of most of what's happening here. And yeah, Peterson caused another one. Bit of a wrecking ball tonight, that 71 truck.
Yeah, I think it's, you get frustrated, things aren't going your way. It's easy for mistakes to compound here. So I think now we're at a point where you get closer to the end of this race. All these drivers are just they want to keep the track position now. Now it's a race that potentially is going to have multiple cautions at the end here. And if you're Madalinas leading up front here, Senzi, Manji, I think a lot of these guys are just going to stay out here and just go to battle on these restarts and see if it either goes green or you get multiple cautions and you just got to keep your track position. So.
And the Christian Peterson incident, that was actually a little bit more two-parted than I thought. So Peterson, he did get loose off the bottom in turn 1 and kind of came up and clipped the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. But at the same time, what ultimately caused the caution was that Gavin Fitzgerald slowed up on the back straightaway. I think he was checking up because of the smoke on the inside. Peterson was offset in a way that just drove him into the left rear. So Peterson didn't really initiate the contact. It was more so the 14 slowing down. Kind of just an unfortunate set of circumstances there.
Yeah, it looks like the only couple trucks that have pitted, it looks like really the only one that's not fixing damage is Eric Kept, who pitted. He was up near the top 5. I'm going to pit here. It looks like 4 tires and fuel for him. Otherwise, it's Gavin Fitzgerald fixing damage, and then Trent Curtis is basically towed his truck. Looks like maybe Henderson is also on pit road, maybe trying to get back in this after that at least required damage he had to fix on the previous yellow.
Ross, if you check broadcast chat, I don't know if I feel like I've broken a lot of bad news tonight about that 71 truck. I don't know if maybe you want to take over.
Yeah, I just think that this series has got a couple rules that rulings happen. It's really tough in a racing series to make rules in race. Obviously iRacing has penalty systems that pop up based on just black and white rules, but there are rules that are things that need to be reviewed, and I think the 71 is going to have maybe a couple shots to dodge. Let's just say this week by the review officials. So if we'll see what happens.
I'm just going to read out what our producer Jeff told us here. Of note, Peterson has been in so many incidents, there's a possibility he's suspended for penalty points next week, depending on how admins rule. So the championship for Christian Peterson might be over by way of execution, without for lack of a better word. We're going back green this time by execution. That might have been a little dramatic. Oh well. Michael Senzi and Hunter Madalinas are your top 2. We'll see if either one of them decides to send it on the restart here, try and get a little bit of an advantage over Madalinas. If not, this race is falling nicely into the hands of the 7 truck. 40 laps to go. It's been a chaotic race so far. We might be yet to see the most of the action. Pace truck is in. Your top 2 are back in the gas. We are back underway at Rockingham.
And the 92 Senzi able to keep everybody kind of close to Madalinas this time with the restart. Gonna Gonna have a battle here for third with Manji and Weeks side by side.
Matthew Weeks all the way up to the high side. I think he might be one of the drivers on tires. Weeks so far this season has been arguably the best driver yet to win a race, but with how he's driving today, he might be able to reverse that. We'll see how this plays out. Weeks on the outside of Manji. That battle going to continue off turn number 2.
I think if this goes green, he's going to have a shot, because I think that he definitely is. We saw earlier in this race when it went green, he was kind of all over Madalinas. Just had the 71 truck of Peterson kind of stuck in between them. So it's just a matter of how quickly he could potentially, now he's gotten to third. We'll see what he can do with Senzi here. But if he can make quick work of Senzi, he might have a shot at Madalinas tonight.
Yeah, he was really fast on that long run. He was able to carry so much more speed on entry. The issue is that I think he might have gotten that by, I don't want to say sacrifice. Well, yeah, I do want to say sacrificing a little bit of short run time. We're seeing that right now. He's, despite the 10-lap fresher tires, not really able to make a move here on Senzi. Darling might want to try his hand at doing so. He's gotten to the outside of Matthew Weeks. So we'll see what Darling can do on equally fresh tires. Manji kind of sending himself up into the fight as well.
I thought that Madalinas was going to just drive away from these guys, but he really hasn't. So that makes you think that he is definitely understanding that he's down at least a couple laps on tires. Got to save his stuff a little bit here, but now we'll see. He's got Darling right in his mirror.
Yeah, I think he's kind of being strategic with that. I think Madalinas knows that he doesn't have to drive away. Remember, doesn't matter how much you win by. There's no bonus points for that. Only that you win. So if Madalinas can manage the gap well, and well, he doesn't need to win by that much. Your top 2, by the way, kind of a redo of that Darlington race a couple of weeks ago when Madalinas ultimately took home the victory over Jared Darling. Darling, with a great move out of turn number 2, is going to get to the right rear of Madalinas. Side by side into turn number 3, Madalinas tries the squeeze, but Darling's taking none of it. Jared Darling to the point at Rockingham. Darling, another driver that has been close to a couple of wins this season, hasn't been able to do it yet. But he's sitting pretty now, with 35 laps to go.
When was the last time we've seen somebody just pass Madalinas straight up for the lead? Nice job by Darling. Yeah, a guy that at any moment you feel like, hey, he could win races. He should be able to. And yeah, so far tonight, that's playing the right strategy now. We'll see what, I kind of picked Weeks there as we got going from that last restart. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Darling is able to hold on to this lead here. Madalinas not letting him get away, and Weeks is just kind of falling in line here in third.
Yeah, I feel like Jared Darling's had a very Bubba Wallace season. It's been good by a lot of markers, but he hasn't really been able to close out a lot of races. Oftentimes he'll finish worse than he ran, and every once in a while he'll just get up here and fight for a win that you weren't really expecting. So Darling to the point. We're closing in on 30 laps to go, and more importantly, and Madalina's hard in the wall. When is the last time you saw Madalinas make a mistake like that? He just lost a handful of spots into turn 3.
I was just going to say that, for Madalinas, we've seen a lot of these races where he goes and he just runs perfect. And I think tonight this is just a Rockingham track is a track that maybe he just doesn't have as many laps in as he probably still has a lot more laps than a lot of other guys out there, but where he's fast, of course, and had a chance to lead tonight, but ultimately maybe not the perfect track for him. But even on a night where this is maybe not his best track and he's running 5th, that shows you the champion that he potentially is.
I mean, Rockingham is difficult. I mean, let's not overshadow what these drivers are doing here. Rockingham is one of the most difficult big ovals on the service, and these guys are having to contend with it for 170 laps. It's no easy feat. I mean, it's treacherous, it's bumpy, it's dangerous. It is, in the greatest sense of the word, a driver's racetrack, and they've got to wrestle with it for a long time. So it does not surprise me to see some sort of uncharacteristic mistakes out of the 71 truck, out of the 7 truck, and seeing some new faces get up to the front, because it's one of those tracks where you cannot practice your way to the front. You really got to know what you're doing. Up at the front, Matthew Weeks has caught the number 1 of Jared Darling. Darling's running the high side. Weeks has elected for the bottom. We're watching the battle here between Peterson and Durr, but things are tightening up at the front. Darling tags the wall just a little bit. Matthew Weeks on the bottom looking to take advantage. He'll have to drop back for now. These top 3, all drivers that are hungry for their first win of the season. All drivers that have been good all season but haven't been able to get a win.
Yeah, fun to see some fast trucks here, and another guy that's kind of snuck his way back up into the top 5 is the 23 of Spencer Owens here, now up to 4th. So running a little bit faster than these top 3 right now. So we'll see if he's got something for these leaders.
I mean, what a story that would be if Spencer Owens could come away with a victory. He has really had a disappointing playoffs. This race has not gone to plan at all, but Owens, I mean, he's such a talented driver. It wouldn't surprise me, and Peterson is spinning down the front straightaway. He collected it on the bottom, but Christian Peterson in that dark red, number 71, that night is going... well, sometimes you're the poo, sometimes you're the fan, and I think tonight Peterson might have been the poo.
I was going to say the snowball is so, we talked about a snowball night that just continues to get bigger, and now it's the bottom of the snowman, so he's ready to make a snowman with the amount of snow he gathered down the hill. What? But yeah, I guess Weeks is underneath Darling here for the lead.
That was awful. Weeks is charging after Jared Darling for the lead. That snowman's getting bigger in his front mirror, that windshield, that's for sure. You know what? Let's pretend that didn't happen. Let's pretend we didn't try to make that work.
Yep.
Yeah. 25 laps to go. Battle for the lead is on. Jared Darling ripping the high side as best he can, but Weeks on the bottom, not letting him get away. We saw Darling, we saw Jared Duda earlier on in the race kind of run the same line that Darling is running now. It worked out for him in the long run. We'll see how this pays off for Darling. If we go green, of course, the caution could throw a wrench in the works.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we saw Weeks do such a great job on that last long green flag run. We don't really know what Darling's got for a long run here, so we'll see if it stays that way. You know, Manji kind of backed up on that previous long run too, so he's now battling or having to try to hold off Owens. Owens going to try to get to the outside here. It looks like Manji's
got it.
Give him the room now.
Spencer Owens down the front straightaway, getting the outside of Tony Manji. And yeah, Manji, bit of an interesting case. He had a pretty good long run the first run of the race, but really ever since then has struggled once the run goes on. So Manji gives up another spot. And I think also of note, the longer we go in this race, the more it's going to be favorable to be on the strategy that only has one set of tires left in the pits. I think at this point, we're kind of at the crossover point where it doesn't matter if you have an extra set of tires in the pits because we don't have enough laps left for that to work.
Yeah, now we've gotten a little bit of spread out. You know, I'm not saying that we're not going to get a caution, but since everybody's kind of spaced out here, the likelihood maybe is a little bit less. So now, as you're battling here, you're sitting here Weeks. You're maybe thinking you got multiple laps here to get this done.
Yeah, you got a lot of time to get it done. You don't need to go now. Spencer Owens, I mean, on one hand, he is a threat, but I think both these guys kind of know that Owens was mired towards the back. He's maybe not as big of a threat as Darling is, so you can kind of ignore him. I think it's pretty much a straight-up fight now between the 1 and the 56.
Yeah, it's just a matter now. I think if Weeks is stronger on the longer run, can you know, how desperate is Darling to win this thing? You know, so we'll see how much of a battle we get here. But yeah, right now just kind of both fouling each other, kind of just waiting for the end maybe.
And Weeks changed up his line that time by he went to the high side. Meanwhile, behind, Robin Durr's on the outside of Shane Neiswanger. Well, not for long, he got the wall. That'll let Jackson Sims scoot by on the inside for 11th. That battle's on the outskirts of the top 10. Neiswanger in it as well, looking to recover after a pretty strong day went south in that incident earlier. Darling and Weeks have both gone up to the high side, by the way, in the battle for the race lead. Weeks is hanging right with him, about as close as he can. Owens continues to drop back. I think it might be a two-horse race as we got 18 laps to go. Look at how close, by the way, Darling gets to the outside wall in 1 and 2 there. He has got that line down.
I like the, you know, kind of entering in the middle a little bit into 3 and 4, but the biggest thing is you want to be able to exit the corner and make sure that there's no opportunity to get to the outside. So Weeks, you know, his only opportunity is running the bottom here, and that's what he's going to try to do in 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's got to move to the inside lined up. Matthew Weeks looking to take the lead away. He gets a little tight off the corner. Darling shuffles up the track to make room. No contact. Weeks going to try the inside in 3 and 4 again. I think this is his best shot, but he drifts up the track. Darling on the high side keeps the advantage side by side with 16 laps to go. And they're 3 wide off the corner behind. Senzi on the outside, Caressel on the inside. Caressel makes way.
I think of your weeks here, Darling's doing a great job of able to run up by the wall, but I think you just got to keep running that bottom and hoping that he's going to make a mistake at some point. And yeah, these guys are all over each other battling. It's we've seen it throughout the night here, trying to be 3 wide again.
Yeah, Weeks really pressuring the one of Darling. He gave him a little bit of pressure in a turn 1. Darling nearly got the wall. God, that was so close. Jeff, I don't know if you got split screen technology, but if you do, now is the time to use it. There is so much happening on this track right now. 15 laps to go. Time's running out for Matthew Weeks. I think at this point, by the way, we can safely say that the drivers up front are on the right strategy.
Yeah, and it looks like, Darling, I mentioned, you want to make sure that you can't, let Weeks get to that outside, but, he's left the corner a couple times now a little bit lower, so if Weeks gets the wall a little bit there, not much, but just enough to lose a little bit of time, but it, yeah, if Weeks is able to get close, there might be a chance to try to jump to his outside, but ultimately I think you've got to just keep the pressure on, because I think Darling is just basically driving that truck on the edge here, just so close to the wall right there that you put the pressure on, there's a chance he'll make a mistake.
Darling's done that a lot. I thought he was getting tight and kind of getting closer to the wall than he wanted to, but he has gotten that close to the outside wall a handful of laps in a row. I think he's got that on lock. I mean, Darling, he is flirting with the outside wall, but he is doing a very good job of it. 12 to go.
Oh, yellow.
Caution's out, caution's out. And it is for, trying to find it, looks like it might be Tony Manji.
Yeah, running up
So
in the
now,
top 5.
That doesn't change everything, but it has the potential to. Let's see what happened. Oh, it was Madalinas and Manji. They got together on the front straightaway. Oh. Ooh, okay. That was interesting. Take a look. Madalinas tries to get to the outside, and, well, there he goes.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, not to assign fault. I'm just not really sure there was a gap there. I mean, I guess there. Oh, well, he kind of turned down anyways.
Well, the good news for our championship leader is the 7 of Hunter Manley is going to have some damage maybe here. He's going to have to work on, but it looks like the 71 of Christian Peterson during that run decided to call it a night. So
well, I don't know if he decided to call it a night or if we missed something. There's the yeah, he got pretty lucky with the net code there that hood went back down. But let's see what happened to Christian Peterson. He yeah, pulled off and gave up. So that's what's up with Christian Peterson. Also in that run, Lewis Woodall had a iRacing mechanical issue. By that I mean he dropped out of the session. I think he's British. That might be why. Ping probably isn't too good.
yeah, it'll be interesting now.
Everybody else on pit road, by the way. Eric Kepf has stayed out. Jared Darling and Weeks are on pit road. Darling handily wins the race off pit road, but Eric Kepf has decided to stay out on old tires. What do you think he'll be able to do here, Ross?
The last yellow, he was one of the only ones on pit road, and I thought, well, hopefully he gets a caution in 10, 15 laps, and he can maybe stay out and do something. This is going to be a little bit longer run on these tires, so I think Eric's a long-time driver of this series, so I don't think he's going to be a pain in the neck for some of these guys battling for the win here. But I think who knows? You get a couple restart cautions, you might have a shot to steal a win or steal a top 5 here. We'll see.
All right, I'm gonna say this because I want to see how well the commentator's curse works. Hunter Madalinas was on pit road to fix damage. He has heavy right side damage. I do not think it is possible for him to win this race. And I want you to remember that, because if he does somehow end up winning this race, I just think it'd be really funny. So Madalinas comes out in P14. By the way, missed opportunity for Christian Peterson because he would have now gotten a little bit of points on him. Madalinas going to come back down to fix more damage. But yeah, I don't think Eric Kepf is going to be too much of a nuisance here. Well, he might be annoying, but I don't think he's going to do anything stupid. Kepf is a very respectful driver. I don't think he's even been in any incidents this season, to be honest. So We will see how this restart plays out, but I think if anyone's going to stay out, I'd imagine that the field is thankful that it is that 63 truck.
Another night of here in October with the pink paint schemes, raising some money for breast cancer research and study. So that's great that we got a couple of our pink highlighted paint schemes up front for both Kepf and Darling up here.
Yeah, not only that, but if you look on the hood and the side of Eric Kep's number 63 machine, he is spreading awareness for North Carolina hurricane disaster relief. So a lot of good messages being spread on that number 63 truck. Get ready to go back racing here. I like the spot that Darling's in, by the way. If he can react well on this restart, Kep is probably going to have a little bit of wheel spin, and that'll give Darling a clear path to take the lead out of turn 2. And you got to imagine that after a season like Darling has had with so many highs but so many lows, he is hungry for this race win.
You know, and
I'm
one
hungry
thing
too. I can go for some dinner right now. Go ahead.
Casey's Pizza, maybe from our. I wonder if Darling gets a discount with a sponsor. I'm just kidding. But I like Weeks. Yeah, I like Weeks here too, though. You know, he probably would have left on the outside of this lane, but was lost a spot on pit road and is going to be right behind Darling.
Yeah, we don't have a Casey's Pizza in California, but we do have plenty of restart zones, which Eric Kep has entered now. We're back green, and it's not a great restart by Jared Darling, but look at Spencer Owens on the low line. Owens going to take the lead through 1 and 2. What a great opportunity for that Lockheed Martin number 23. Durr sideways out of the corner, 7 to go.
Yeah, that was a great move by Owens to basically make sure he was clear, jump right down in front of Darling, and just hit 1 and 2 perfect. Darling's not going to give it up, though. He's going to look to the inside.
Yeah, Owens a little slow out of turn number 4, but he'll keep the spot into turn 1. He'll cover off the high line. He knows that's where Darling wants to go, but Darling's got a good run on exit. He's all over the back bumper of the 23. Darling's going to stay in line. They both want the high side. Now he goes to the bottom. Owens up top. Can Darling do anything on the bottom as they get to 5 to go? This could be the opportunity of Spencer Owens' entire season. It was a disastrous start to the race. He was outside the top 20 on pace, but now he finds himself leading as Darling gets the wall. Darling into the wall. There's a spinner out of turn number 2. Durr saves it. Darling keeps going. Weeks is up to second. Durr's back on the track. He did not save it and the caution's out. That was a lot.
Yeah, a lot going on there. I think that Darling knew that he had to basically get close enough to Owens to make a move, and just overdrove the exit of 2 there and got in the wall. We've seen that a couple times tonight by even our best drivers. So it's really easy to do, and I think you're just hoping to be back in the gas, exiting the corner, to have a shot there. And yeah, sometimes that safer barrier sticks out there, and we'll grab your truck.
Yeah, he almost had it too. I mean, Darling, he was angled the right way. If that safer barrier just went in with the wall a little bit smoother, I think he would have been fine. But unfortunately for him, it'll find him back in 3rd. Now, luckily, he doesn't have a lot of damage on that truck, and he will get to restart in 3rd. There's the wreck with Robin Durr. He just got loose out of the corner. But yeah, luckily, restarting in 3rd is a pretty solid spot to be in. I think Darling will have a shot at this win, but honestly, I like where Spencer Owens is. And I mean, like I said, what a story that would be. He was nowhere at the start of this race, and throughout the race, I mean, he just learned, got steadily better, and was able to take advantage of the opportunity. So he finds himself in the lead as we head to Great Lakes Truck Series overtime. When's the last time we had one of these races end in overtime? I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah, a little bit of time for sure. I think it leads to, a lot of the passes we've seen tonight for the lead have come on after multiple laps after a restart. So I think that, it's really going to come down to who can, hit this restart perfect. Can Weeks have an opportunity to still stay with Owens on the restart will be really the question. And if so, then it's game on. Otherwise, I think Owens is just going to have to hit his marks to try to win this race and hope that there's not another caution. We're kind of running low on trucks. You brought it up at the beginning, the amount of attrition you're going to have to potentially overcome tonight. And there's a lot of drivers up in the top 10 here. Matt Durr, Jackson Sims, Michael Senzi, Kressel, all battling for a top 5 that we're probably hoping for a top 10 tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coming up on this restart, I think we could, if you wanted to, strategize this, kind of try and draw up a play here, figure out what we're going to do. But at the same time, I mean, you kind of just got to send it. The thing about overtime is that you don't know what's going to happen. All you can do is get the best restart you can, try and react to the leader as best you can, and then just run your race. If you try and plan out a move, I think you might miss an opportunity that is presented to you, but if you be too opportunistic, you might forget to set up a pass. So, best thing you can do is just try your best. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen here. There's a lot of hungry drivers up here that would love to get their first win of the season. In fact, the only driver in the top 10 that has won a race... Actually, no, none of the drivers in the top 10 have won. The only driver left running that has won a race this season is the 7 of Hunter Madalinas. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. All of our winners from earlier this year are out. Terrell Baker, Jared Duda, Gavin Fitzgerald, Christian Peterson. They're all out other than Hunter Madalinas. Unless I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, and there's not that opportunity like the previous restart where we had kept up there on the older tires to kind of mix up that restart and give Owens that opportunity. I think a lot of these drivers saw what Owens did and is probably hoping that they can do the same, but it's going to be a little tougher with everybody on the same tires here. Looking forward to see what happens here and see if it's just going to be the one overtime or if we're going to need another one or two. Hopefully it's just the one and we can have a great finish here.
Yeah, not only that, but Spencer Owens has chosen the bottom. Most of the leaders throughout the race have elected to go at the high line. Spencer Owens, he likes his chances on the bottom. So it'll be a Great Lakes Truck Series overtime finish. This is our first of 3 attempts. Pace car is in this time by. Remember, if they get to the white, the race will be official. No caution can end it at that point. Spencer Owens is on it. He's gone. Matthew Weeks is not. Jared Darling will inch his way up into second, but they'll stay side by side through 1 and 2.
And Darling trying to get clear. I think if he can get clear of Weeks,
He's got it.
He may have a second shot at Owens, but now Weeks is going to jump to his inside. That's going to give that's all Owens wants to see is those two side by side.
Spencer Owens going to pull away as they come to get the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Rockingham. We'll see if anyone can run down the 23 truck. This race is official. We'll end under green. Owens leads through 1 and 2. Weeks on the bottom. Darling on the high side behind. Darling's got to run, but I don't think he can do anything with it. Into turn number 3 for the final time. Darling's on the bumper, but Owens has control. That'll do it. Spencer Owens going to lead the field off turn number 4 to the line. Spencer Owens picks up his first win of the season at Rockingham.
And I think the winning moment for that 23 truck, a great job on that restart, the previous restart. What a move that was to get around Kep, to clear the lead truck of Darling and then and get the lead. That was an awesome move, and yeah, definitely he gets rewarded with the win.
Look at that. Everybody congratulating after this race. Everyone is a Spencer Owens fan today. It was a great underdog story after an unfortunate playoff. Spencer Owens, he was very consistent throughout the regular season. Unfortunately, did really just not perform as well as he would hope to in the playoffs. But today, that might erase a little bit of the pain. Spencer Owens, your winner at Rockingham. And like you said, Ross, he did everything he needed on that restart to keep control of the field. He got a great jump and just put his truck in all the right places. There was no way around that number 23.
Yeah, a great job by a lot of our drivers to make that final green-white checker, to see Darling and Weeks racing side by side and having a chance to almost close up on Owens even by racing side by side, and then have all 3 of them coming to the line was pretty cool. So yeah, it looks like we got Darling and Weeks ready to chat, and then get an opportunity to chat with Spencer Owens, our winner, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move Spencer Owens through the channels here just so he knows what's happening. So I don't want to surprise him in the middle of anything. But we're going to go ahead and get him up here now. Here we go. Spencer Owens, you are up in the broadcast booth. First off, I just want to say congratulations on your first win of the season. It was a clutch performance there on that overtime restart. Walk us through how you won that race.
I don't know. I don't know. We were just there at the end. That's really all I can say. We were there at the end. We just had a really good start there with Eric on the outside. We just timed up perfect, and he gave us the lead, and we just tried like hell to keep up there. So yeah, we did it. We got one. We came up and stole one.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a clutch performance there at the end. We saw, I mean, this race was not smooth sailing for you. It was, I don't want to say off the pace at the start, but definitely a little bit behind. How much were you able to learn throughout the race just through running laps?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a lot to learn. We were just biding our time. We're not good here, so we were just biding our time, having fun. We're just seeing how it was and felt how it was, and just trying to be there to the end. And this is what happens, I guess.
Yeah, and lastly, at the end of the race there, you had two hungry drivers, both looking for their first wins of the year, hunting you down. How are you able to deal with the pressure and hold them off?
I don't know. We were driving our ass off and trying our best, and it just paid off. Those two, one of them definitely deserved to win this race. I had no business being here, but when I can get one, I'm going to get one. So, I mean, congrats to them. It was a great race, but yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, definitely a great drive there at the end. Congratulations again. Is there anybody that you want to thank?
I want to thank you guys for broadcast. You put on a great show every week. Got to thank Dark Horse, Shane Nicewanger, Hunter Brittle. Their guys brought me in this year. They brought me in with a lot of hope and winning this year, and I'm glad I can finally get one for them. And they've been waiting a while for it from me. So Jared Darling, he put in a good race. Matthew Weeks, really good racer at the end. Everybody else in the race, it was really fun. But yeah, and the fans, thanks for watching.
Yeah, definitely. Spencer, thank you for taking the time to join us, and congratulations again on your win. Next up in the booth, we got Jared Darling standing by with Ross Brockman.
Couple times. Oh.
Hello.
Hi, Jared. How's it? Unfortunately, you're led some laps towards the end there. Lost the lead on that second to last restart. Talk us through that little battle with Owens as far as through that second to last and then the final restart.
Yeah, as far as that restart, I just choked. I can't believe it. I really thought this race was mine. Again, I've been so close this season to getting a win. It's just kind of really sucks. I had Eric, my teammate in the front row. He gave me a countdown, and it just totally screwed it up. It was pretty embarrassing, honestly. And then I got in the wall trying to chase down Spencer there, and still had a shot. But I'm not one to move and wreck somebody out of the way for a win. So and the thing is, I know people would probably do that to me, so I should be a little more aggressive. But that's just not how I drive. So I was trying to be as clean as possible. But man, I really wanted that win so bad. But that sucks.
Talk about the racing tonight and how it was for you. It looked like a lot of drivers kind of up and down, track position changing all the time. But then there was multiple times green flag run there where it was tough to pass, and we saw some battles there. It looks like you and Weeks kind of battling it out. We thought maybe that was going to be the end. What was that racing like, and how tough was it?
I tell you what, when I was in traffic and in the back, it was tough. I couldn't go anywhere. I was stuck like outside the top 10 the whole first half of the race, and I kept trying to run the bottom because I knew it would like save tires, but I was just slow the whole run. So the second half of the race, I kind of got a couple breaks with some yellows. I stayed out really long, got a yellow, and that obviously turned my race totally around. And having track position and running the high line, I kind of realized I was just faster up there, even though I was destroying my tires, but I could defend. And that's kind of what I was doing there those last 20, 30 laps with Weeks. And I give him props for racing me so clean, because I know if he would have cleared me, he probably would have drove off to the win. But it was a fun battle. I mean, hey, my tongue was out and everything. It was really fun racing him. I wish it could have stayed green and me and him battle it for the win there, but it wasn't meant to be again. We got one race left to try to get a win, and we'll see what we can do next week. I love Texas, so I am looking forward to that. You
just answered the question I was going to ask. Obviously wanting to get that win and come so close this so many times this year. Texas, think that's the moment. We don't want to wait a whole nother off season, right? Yeah, that's right. Maybe we could end the season with a bang, I guess. So we're gonna try. I'm gonna do everything I can, like I do every week. I try to win every race.
So we'll see what we got next week. But yeah, I feel like there's 3-4 races this year I coulda, shoulda, woulda won. It's tough, but it is what it is, man.
Well, we're glad that you're gracious in the defeat and take the blame, I guess, for it was a couple great restarts. What happens, but we'll wrap it up by giving us anyone that you want to thank and any shout outs that you have for finishing up in the top 3 tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for broadcasting. Eric and Team Spectrum. We were kind of all over the place today a little bit. But we had some solid runs going for sure. And Eric for the paint schemes is always all my paints. Eric makes them, so they're amazing every week. And running the pink breast cancer colors for the month of October is always nice to run. And obviously Casey's. Go get yourself a slice of Casey's pizza. And
but we don't have them in California, Jared. We don't have them where I live.
Well, go get your In-N-Out burger then, whatever. I guess. But yeah, and shout out to Weeks for the clean racing at the end there. It was I was struggling to stay in front of him, but it was a really, really fun battle. I just thank you to him for racing clean, and we got one more shot next week. We'll try to get another win.
If it helps, there is a place called Casey's Pizza in San Francisco, but that's a good ways away from me. So, and it's also not Casey's the brand; it's just like a different. I'm getting very off topic here. Thank you for talking to us, by the way.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Yeah, well, anyways, that was Jared Darling telling us about Casey's Pizza. And now we got Matthew Weeks. Matthew, it was a good run for you tonight. You were sniffing with the lead sniffing with the lead. That was a weird way to say it. Sorry, I'm thinking about Casey's Pizza now. But you were close to the lead a couple of times there, racing with Madalinas and Peterson early on in the race, and then with Darling later on. Talk us through those battles. How was the racing out there?
It was good, especially I think the first 100 laps was a blast with those long runs, and I was just taking it easy, saving my tires, and I felt really good. I felt like I was better than Madalena's and Christian right there. And I felt like I was way better than him. If I got around them, I could have probably caught Duda up there. But then we flipped the strategy. I noticed we were short, so I tried to flip it and pit early. And then we had a caution. And then it was just all about track position. But I had fun racing those guys. And then that last battle I had with Jared, I was having a blast. I didn't want that caution to come out because we was about to duke it out.
Yeah, definitely. It was a close race there at the end. You got a couple of chances on those overtime restarts, but looked like Owens was kind of just in control there. Is there anything you could have done differently to get up to that 23 and make a move?
I think if I didn't start the last restart in first gear, I tried it, and that was like the first time I tried all night, and I was just trying to get a good jump, and I spun the wheels more than I intended to. So maybe if I just started second and probably stayed even with them and wanted to, we would have had a shot, but once Jared and I started battling for second there, it was just too late after that.
Yeah, definitely. And Matthew, kind of looking at your season as a whole, it's been a pretty strong playoff run for you, but I mean, that wreck at Auto Club kind of hurt your chances a little bit. Looking forward to Texas and maybe the next season, what are your goals here?
I want to win a race for the 2511 boys. They brought me in here out of the blue, never even heard of this league, and they gave me the chance to, offered me to drive a truck for them, and I'm like, well, crap, I don't do nothing on Tuesday nights. I usually run a practice for a Cup Series. I run on Wednesday night, so I figured I'd do it, and there's been chances I felt like we could have won. I lagged out of a race, been caught up in some incidents, but we've been strong, and I just want to win a race. I think Texas is one of my better tracks, so I'm gonna go in there and try to get a dub there for the boys.
Yeah, definitely looking to end the season on a high note. A pretty good run for you today, finishing in third. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
You guys in the booth, you always do a good job. I enjoy going back, watching the races. Everyone that runs the league. I haven't been up here to literally shout at those guys as much, but those guys do a great thing here, and I have had a blast. All the 25-11 guys, Zach Henry and Chris Heller, the chance they gave me to come here and race has been fun. My boy Justin Vandermeer with his scheme, JV Design, send him up on Twitter. He'll paint you beautiful schemes all the time, man. He's so good at it, and hope everyone enjoyed that race that watched because it was a good one.
Yeah, definitely a fun race to watch from up here in the booth. Matthew, thank you for taking the time to joining us. Wow, thank you for taking the time to join us. That's what I was trying to say. We will see you later.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Man, my brain is really slipping here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your finishing results before I start thinking about Casey's Pizza and messing up even more sentences. Winning the race today was the number 23 of Spencer Owens. It was his first win of the season after 2 overtime restarts, and look at that, 23rd to first, 22 spots gained on the day. A great drive by Spencer Owens. P2 goes to Jared Darling, who comes up just short again. 3rd place goes to Matthew Weeks, and then Matt Durr with a surprising run, finishing in 4th. Took advantage of some of the chaos there for another top 5. Jackson Sims comes home in 5th with Michael Senzi, P6. Nicholas Caressel, a strong run in P7, and Hunter Madalinas, give a call to him. He ran a pretty good race, but got caught up in a late race incident. He did not give up. He stayed in it until the checkered flag and comes home with a top 10. Shane Nicewanger, P9, and Rod Fasnaugh takes advantage of some of the chaos, comes away with his first top 10 of the season. Well, at least I think that's his first top 10 of the season. He might have got one earlier that I missed, but good run for him nonetheless.
Yeah, and you see a lot of these names up in the top 10 that stole top 10 running spots from these drivers that maybe had some issues. We talked about looks like James Shiflett in 11th, but Elliot Henderson had some severe damage that he was able to fix and actually finished 12th. We saw Eric Kep stay out kind of late there and try some different strategy, just roll the dice there, and still able to come home 13th. We had Manji, who was running up near the front. He finished 14th. During the 98, 15th, multiple laps down, and then a lot of other trucks that had problems tonight. Blair Neobone in the 64, Lewis Woodall in the 13, finished 16th, or they both finished 16th. One was 17th, I guess. Maybe they tied, I don't know. And then the 71 of Christian Peterson had a tough night tonight. Ultimately, pretty much ended his chance at the championship tonight. And 19th was Gavin Fitzgerald in the 14, and then Trent Curtis rounds out our top 20.
Yeah, for some reason, Neobone and Lewis Woodall are both listed as your 16th place finishers. I have never seen that one before, so hey, weirder things have happened.
Paper, scissors, I think, to see who gets sent.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, looking at your last 7 on the scoring sheet, Jared Duda, unfortunate for him, he led 90 laps, dominant run, only able to come home in 21st after getting turned into the outside wall. Jim Duda comes home 1 spot behind him, 22nd. Terrell Baker, pretty much been the story of the season for him. A lot of good runs, a lot of bad finishes. P23 for him. Evan Snyder comes home in 24th. Zach Henry, 25th. Aiden DuPont, 26th. And Brent Kincott, who we really did not talk about at all tonight, comes home in P27, rounding out your finishing results here at Rockingham. Ross, that was a wild race, but I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. I mean, you had a little bit of everything. No one really dominated. I think that was an awesome race. What are your final thoughts on the Tire Eaters 170?
Yeah, I was gonna say a fun way to end it with Owens stealing the win. Kind of even said that with that awesome move. That was a really cool move to grab the lead on that late restart, and then able to hold him off on the final restart in overtime. And we talk about we talk about Weeks and Darling. We chatted with them both about trying to get that win. We saw Owens do it, so it's hopefully one of those guys have an opportunity to go into Texas. Basically, it looks like unofficially, I think Madalinas, all he's going to have to do next week potentially is to start the race. We'll have to see. We'll have to give you all the updates pre-race next week. But I think that it's going to be a party for Madalinas in Texas to win the championship, and then a bunch of drivers just trying to go for the win, including the 7 truck. So it'll be fun to see what happens, and looking forward to the final race of the season at Texas next week.
Yeah, I'd love to just take a look at the points if we can before we head out here, but I do believe Madalinas is going to have a 31 or so point lead on Christian Peterson. Yeah, there we go. So a strong, commanding lead by Hunter Madalinas. Of course, there are still some penalties hanging over Peterson's head, so we could actually end up with a 2-way battle for second if that does not go Peterson's way. Sims, Henderson, Henry, Nicewanger, Owens, Barbagelata, and Heller are the other drivers in the playoffs, but those battles have kind of sorted themselves out. So we'll keep an eye on second next week in Texas, but I do believe Hunter Madalinas has wrapped this thing up. As for Rockingham, that is going to do it. Great race tonight, and we're very happy that you all tuned in. As for myself, Jonathan Oates, my co-broadcaster, Ross Brockman, and Jeff Johnson, our producer, we'd like to thank you all very much for tuning in. We will see you all next week. Goodbye, everybody.